Welcome back, gamers, to Top 10 Gaming. I'm your host, Johnny Rogers. If you happen to be new here, we make daily content on all things gaming related, so tap that subscribe button to see more from us in the future. Plus, leave us a comment down below with the oldest video game that you own. That will become important in a moment. So as you search your attics, garages, and basements, let's dive into today's list of the top 10 rarest video games that you might own. Although many of these only have a few copies in existence, so you may not own them, but the world's a big place, so maybe you do own them. Either way, pay close attention because the number one spot on this list may make you rich. Let's get to it. In at number 10, Tetris for Sega. I'm sure you're sitting there saying, Tetris is a rare game? Yeah, right. Well, despite how easy they are to find in our now wide selection of Tetris games, one in particular stands above the rest. If you own a working copy of Tetris for the Sega Genesis Mega Drive, you may be rolling in dough fairly soon. The reason for this Tetris game in particular becoming so valuable is due to the fact that Nintendo had only produced 10 copies of it due to a very restricted ownership agreement that they had at the time for the rights to the game. Due to the fact that only a limited amount of these games were produced, they never were sold commercially. Only the development team that ported the game would be the ones to have gotten their hands on it. So instead of searching your house, I'd look through some garage sales and or eBay to find one. Its base value, depending on how well it works, can be sold for as little as $2,800 US, with a max value of nearly $16,000. One autographed copy for the game by Russian developer Alexei Pajitnov actually sold for $1 million in 2011. In at number 9, Red Sea Crossing. If this game sounds biblical to you, well, it is. When the game Red Sea Crossing came out for the Atari 2600, most people believed it was a hoax. The reason why this game is so unbelievably rare is due to the fact that only 2 known copies of the game exist right now. Even with so few in existence, we do know that the game's programmer Steve Shustak said that 500 cartridges were produced, so there is still the possibility that one of them is out there in the wild somewhere. It was a video game that was marketed towards religious publications and followed the story of Moses crossing the Red Sea. During an auction for one of the copies, it ended up selling for over $10,000. However, it's been valued for upwards of $14,000. So if you get an offer, hold out. In at number 8, Air Raid. If you own a lot of Atari 2600 games, you'll be laughing your way to the bank pretty soon. Air Raid is another one of those extremely rare video games developed by Menavision for the Atari 2600. It's just like the game Space Invaders where you're defending while attacking, but in this game it's defending a building from a bombing raid. Much like the other games on this list, there were a limited number of copies ever produced, making it become an instant collectible. 2 copies of the game that were found ended up being sold for a ridiculous amount of money. One sold for $31,600 and the other sold for $33,433, with the bidding starting at just $1. The game also comes in this really unique blue T-shaped casing that's used as a handle for playing the game itself. In at number 7, Superman Atari. We wanted to show you a video of actual gameplay, but the sound effects for this game are so brutal that you'll think you're having a stroke. Regardless, Superman for the Atari 2600 is another one of those games that's got some pretty serious value. That is, if you own the copy with the words Sears Telegames in yellow writing. This game was pretty popular back in the day, so you may actually find a copy of it quite easily, but if you find the one with yellow printing like I mentioned, then you have your hands on something special. If the game still for some reason has its factory sealing and the box is intact, it can sell for tens of thousands of dollars. Although even if the game is unboxed, the version with Sears Telegames on it can still get you $300. At top value, you can get upwards of $34,000. It's a lot of dollars. In at number 6, Super Mario Bros. Now, before you get too excited on this one, just remember that there are always certain conditions that apply to make the game rare or valuable. So pay close attention. If you have the NES version of Super Mario Bros. 2 that contains both Chinese lettering and English lettering, well, then you're one very lucky gamer. Back in the day, a limited number of these games were produced for the Hong Kong market. Due to the area being mostly English and Cantonese speaking, the game was adjusted to be bilingual. They're so rare that they've been able to sell at auctions for no less than $25,000. In at number 5, Nintendo Campus Challenge. This is one of those retro games that becomes more valuable as as it gets passed around. Back in the 1990s, Nintendo did one of the coolest things that we've ever heard of. They put on competitions at different college campuses where students would have 6 minutes to get the highest scores they could in the demo versions of Super Mario Bros., Pinbot, and Dr. Mario. Following the competition ending, most copies of the cartridges were destroyed. I'm guessing either from rage quits or because it was just a singular cartridge that held 3 demos. I mean, why else would you need to keep that? Either way, one Nintendo employee actually kept one and at a garage sale in 2006 sold it to a man named Rob Walters. Rob would buy all kinds of retro games for close to $1,000 a piece. When he resold Campus Challenge, he got a cool $14,000. The collector that purchased that game was JJ Hendricks, who did a quick turnaround on it and ended up auctioning the game for $20,100 on eBay. Legend has it, that one copy is the only copy left on the planet. In at number 4, Birthday Mania. This game, just like the Red Sea Crossing game, made us laugh a little too much, but Birthday Mania is actually one of the rarest games of all time. The game features birthday activities if you're not partial to having, you know, a birthday party. You can blow out candles, pop balloons, and show disappointment for bad gifts. Okay, I made that last one up. But there are more birthday mini games than you would believe. The casing is even left open to personalize it as a birthday gift, which just sounds like something a lousy parent would buy their child when they don't want to throw them a birthday party. Amazingly, the game sold 10 copies, which means there's 10 terrible dads out there, although very few of them actually surface. Its estimated worth is upwards of $35,000. In at number 3, Stadium Events. This is one of those NES games released in 1987 that was popular at first, but soon forgotten and replaced by successors such as World Class Track Meet. Even still, the box alone for this game can sell for $10,000. That's some expensive cardboard. The reasoning for it becoming so valuable is due to the fact that when Nintendo purchased the rights to the game, they re-released it as the World Class Track Meet. So to make sure that people weren't confused, they took all of the Stadium Events games off of the shelves and pretty much destroyed them. Although before those copies were removed and destroyed, 200 had already been sold. And out of the 200, only 20 of those actually have the gaming mat accessory, which just adds to the value. It was this cool mat that you would put down, kind of like the Wii. It's like old school Wii, and you jump on it and you run. Either way, only 20 of those exist ever. Stadium Events even made news headlines in 2010 when a woman in North Carolina cleaned out her garage where she found an old copy. She put the game on eBay and watched as the bidding climbed to just over $13,000. The rarest copy ever sold was a shrink wrap version in the original box with the manual and the mat, and it sold to a private buyer for nearly $42,000. In at number 2, Nintendo World Championships. It's a common joke that this gaming cartridge may be made up of actual gold based on how much it has sold for. Again, back in the early 1990s, Nintendo was doing some rad stuff. They actually organized an international video game tournament called the Nintendo World Championships, and as such, specifically designed this NES cartridge for that in mind. 90 copies were produced in the standard gray color, and another 26 were made with that slick gold color. A lot of them were given away as prizes for winning the Nintendo Power Contest. However, if you're lucky enough to find one of those gold cartridges, they are by far the rarest NES cartridges out there, and in 2014 one actually sold on eBay for just over $100,000. Yeah, that's some real gold. Lastly, in our number 1 spot, Gamma Attack. The rarest of the rare has to go to the game Gamma Attack. For the longest time, it was a myth that this game even existed, but without a shadow of a doubt, only one copy was ever made, and it's owned by big-time collector Anthony DiNardo. Back in the day, a company called Gamimation, who usually created controller mods, produced this game for the Atari 2600. When it was sold to Anthony on eBay back in 2008, he paid a whopping $500,000, making Gamma Attack one of the most valuable games on the retro market. So you may not own that one, unless you're Anthony, and if you are Anthony, thanks for watching, man. He's just confirming that he got one of the rarest games. Knew it. Thanks, Top 10 Gaming. And that has been the top 10 rarest video games that you might own. Or not. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, then show us some love here by tapping that like and subscribe button. Plus, leave us a comment down below with which game from our list that you actually own. I want to hear from you. And for more videos like this one, all you gotta do is click that playlist on your screen. From Top 10 Gaming, I'm Johnny Rogers. Until next time, take care.